Greetings Exiles and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to talk about one of the most requested League starter build guides for 3.14, and that is Lightning Spellcaster Witch. Now, this build does include spells like Arc Lightning, Stormbrand, and Crackling Glass. You can use all of these, but some of them are best used in their specific stage of the game. Like for example, Arc Lightning is best used at the start and Crackling Glass is best used when you are min-maxing, while spells like Lightning Trap and Stormbrand are best used as a support for nuking down bosses. Now in the previous video I did talk about a different League starter, and that was melee physical damage Impale Cyclone Gladiator. And that one had its own advantages and disadvantages. But in this video I'm going to go with the opposite thing and mention the advantages that this build has over the advantages of that build. The first one is that you don't have to worry about resource cost management. The reason for this is that most spells and spell nodes on the passive tree exist at the top side, and the top side contains lots of intelligence nodes and lots of mana nodes, and both of them helps you with sustaining your mana. The second advantage is that League starting with spells, specifically with Witch, will allow you to deal lots of damage in a very short amount of time. This goes with the philosophy is that you can nuke bosses before they get to damage you. Now you will have to dodge some hits, because you can't have high damage and be tanky at the same time. Because if there would be a class that has both of these traits at the start, GG would nerf it obviously, because everyone would play it. So that as a witch, you will prioritize having high damage over having high survivability, because that's the easier route to go with spells. The third advantage is that not only this build is not item dependent like any other League starter, it also does not require anything in specific to transition into mid game. The difference between this build and attack builds is that attack builds requires you to upgrade your weapon as you go along with weapons with higher base physical damage. This isn't the case with spells, specifically this League starter in particular. The reason for that is that you can get a wand, one with the lowest item level you can find, and then spam alteration orbs on it until you get +1 to level of lightning spell skill gems. This is very powerful on spells specifically because spells scales around 10% more damage with every gem level. This isn't the case for attack builds because they require you to upgrade your weapon instead. This means that attack builds requires you to maintain crafting a new weapon every 2 to 3 acts, while spellcasting only requires you to get a wand with this mod and that's it. As once you get a pair of wands both have this mod, you will be able to push through all the game 10 acts and even go up to tier 5 yellow maps without having to invest into any decent spellcasting wand. That's why I said that this build can transition into mid game without absolutely any investment. But of course, all of these advantages comes at the cost that you are squishy. Now, playing as a witch, specifically going with the route of having lots of damage at the start, requires you to be, I'm not going to say a veteran, but you need to be able to memorize bosses' moves specifically, because you will have to dodge these. Unless you go with mind over matter early on, you won't be able to tank any boss hit. So might as well try to memorize the moves of early game bosses before deciding to League start with this build. Well, right then, now that we have talked about the build in general and talked about its advantages and disadvantages, let's start planning our League starting passive tree. Just remember that a League starter passive tree should be able to give you both life and damage, because we are assuming that you are starting with absolutely no items and you are not going to be lucky and drop something good. So we are going to go with the Witch for lots of reasons, and I would rather start talking about the Ascendancy first so that the passive tree would make sense because it's built based around the Ascendancy. So we are a lightning spellcaster, so the idea is that you can inflict shock. But shock will be weak at the start of the league. So what you should do is that you should first go for Shaper of Storms. This is important because shocking enemies let them take more damage, and this node just gives you just that. Regardless of how much lightning damage you deal with hits, you will be able to always shock your enemies for a small effect level, which is 15%, that can scale, and this node also scales it up, making it easier for you to reach the maximum limit, which is 50%. Then, with your second lab, you might want to go for Golem support, but you need to resist the urge of going that because it's not really that useful at the start. Instead, you would want to go with Bastion of Elements. This will give you a protective layer against getting one-shotted in the early stages of the game. It will also prevent you from taking reflected elemental damage, which will save you some currency at rerolling some maps at the start of the league, once you get to the map system. But after that, when you actually start like building up your mid-game version of this build, you will want to unallocate this And once you have got your third lab, you would want to take both of these nodes together. These will give you one maximum summoned golem each, and this will allow you to get bonuses from an extra golem. They will also scale the effects of your golems. So for example, you will have lightning golem that gives you more than 10% attack and cast speed. Your flame golem will give you like 30 to 40% increased damage, and your ice golem will give you lots of crit chance instead of 30% only. And yeah, that's it. They will also make your golems basically immune to all damage. Well, not exactly immune, but if they die, they will respawn for free, and that's a bonus for you. Once you have took your final lab, you will unallocate this, because supposedly in the end game you'll have lots of damage, so that you will not need to force shock upon enemies, since your damage will be high enough to force a decent level of shock. So this node is no longer required. Instead, you will go for these two in a row. This node will double the effect of your exposures. Basically, if you use something like Wave of Conviction, which you should use, it will reduce enemies' lightning resistance by 50% instead of 25%. This will also give you 1% mana regen in general, which is good for sustaining your resources. Next, we have Heart of Destruction. It will give you area of effect if you have not hit a unique enemy recently, and it will give you more elemental damage if you did hit a unique enemy recently. This is good, specifically if you have decided to switch to Crackling Lance in the end game, which is the best damage upgrade for you in this build. So, that was it for your Ascendancy. Starting off, you would want to go with the spell damage nodes and cast speed. Then take this notable, take this one for increasing your lightning damage and lightning resistance. Then you would want to take all the nearby life and mana nodes all the way here. This is a good tree for like Act 1. Then you would want to upgrade, starting to integrate some degree of crit chance for spells, taking out this cluster over here. Then you'd want to go top, take this jewel socket. You might want to take all of these mana nodes over here, and then immediately go to the left side of the passive tree, take all of these nodes, and pick up Mind Over Matter. This will make you tanky after you have progressed beyond Act 2 and Act 3. You will not be able to get one-shotted from bosses, because you will have like 1500 mana at this point. Then you take all of these nodes over here, they will give you life recovery, mana recovery, etc., and some extra life. You take this jewel socket, and that basically is a tree until you have reached Act 3. So now let's start to upgrade by getting even more life and damage. There is a small life node cluster over here which we will take. We'll also take this mana cluster node over here. Then we'll go top, we will take this node, we'll go over here. We will take all the lightning nodes over here for increasing our damage and shock effect, which is important. Then you would want to optimize the tree, basically take this node and allocate this node, take it from here and then unallocate this node. This is how you start like to upgrade your tree as you go along. You might want to take this node over here. It's not really important because it gives you energy shield based on your mana, but energy shield is like decent at the start. If you are based around life, then really energy shield is not that useful for you. From here you would want to start focusing on crit slowly. You would go to the right side of the passive tree, take another jewel socket, go all the way over here so that we can get close to the powerful crit nodes given to us by the shadow side of the passive tree. We are going to take Trickery, Assassination, and Cold-Hearted Calculations. From here you can go take this node, and maybe take this jewel socket, which have some useful dexterity nodes along the way. Maybe go over here, take this mana node, maybe don't take it. Maybe you would want elusive, so you go over here, take all of the elusive node cluster. And from here, you go top, you go over here, you go over here, you take these nodes, you take these crit nodes, and yeah, that's basically it. You might want to start optimizing from here. You take these nodes instead, and you unallocate these. Then you maybe take these and unallocate these, and then you would want to take this lightning caster cluster, and then you might want to have more life, and then you will go to the Templar side of the tree. You will take this node, you will take the life nodes over here, you will take the accuracy / dexterity / movement speeds / cast speed nodes over here. They are like one of the best quality of life nodes on the passive tree. Then you'd want to take the Holy Dominion node and Light of Divinity. Then you might want to go slightly to the left bottom side of the tree, take the life nodes over here, take another jewel socket, and that's about it basically for this passive tree. Now, there are lots of upgrades you can go with. For example, you can get rid of the pathing over here, go to the top, maybe go over here, take the crit nodes over here, maybe take the life nodes over here, and then go here, take the mana nodes if you have decided to stay with mana stacking idea of like going with Mind Over Matter instead of just scaling pure damage. Then yeah, take these nodes. But if you are really min-maxing it's not really that efficient to keep stacking mana forever, even if you are using Archmage, because stacking flat damage, percentage damage, crit chance, and crit multiplier is far more important than just stacking mana. But yeah, you could still go with that and you will be far more tanky. But since at this point you will be basically min-maxing, you will start investing into power charges, you will basically unallocate all the mana nodes you have on the passive tree. You will no longer need these. You might just like take this one and unallocate this one. Go all the way over here, take the power charge nodes as I have told you. Go here, take the elemental damage node cluster over here, and take another jewel socket, take the life nodes. And yeah, that's basically how your passive tree would look like at the end of the game. Just like take power charge nodes. The way of how you are going to generate power charges is with the unique influence mod on some items that gives you power charge, like the Shaper mod on wands, which gives you a power charge after spending 200 mana. You will get 1 power charge for every 200 mana you spend. And yeah, that's basically it. Well, alright then, now that we are done with this build, let's talk about what if you actually got some currency and want to invest something into the build. Like we are talking mid to end game. What are the key items that you should be aiming for? Well, there's this one item that is good on every single lightning build, and that is Impulsa's Broken Heart. This item makes it so that when you kill a shocked enemy, they explode, dealing lightning damage to all nearby enemies around them. This is the best item you can have for enhancing your clearing speed. It should also be noted that this is a key item that you should get if you wish to transition from good lightning spells like Arc Lightning to godly lightning spells like Crackling Lance. With its 4 intensified charges, you will be able to deal up to 40 million damage once this build is completed. And completing this build, in case you actually liked it and want to push your endgame with it, is not going to be expensive. The reason for that is that there is only a single item that is required for you to get to actually unlock your true damage potential. And that is a good influence wand with power charge generation mechanism after spending 200 mana, which is by the way a Shaper influence mod. Once you get this, you will be able to take every single power charge node on the passive tree that is near to your pathing, and you will get lots of spell damage, lots of crit chance, and you can scale that even further with getting Shimmeron. Shimmeron is a very cheap one that you get to boost your damage by increasing your flat damage, your percentage damage, your crit chance, your crit multiplier, as long as you have some power charges. And that's basically how we get to increase our damage in the end game without investing into lots of expensive items. And that was basically it for my Lightning Spellcaster Witch League Starter build guide. If you guys have enjoyed this video, then make sure to leave a like and maybe hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any future videos like this one. My name is Phoenix and I will see you all in the next video.